Hi, my name is Ashleigh Ferguson. I need to warn you, public speaking is not my forte, whatsoever. But I was reminded by a friend before I came here that I was speaking to like-minded teachers. That I was speaking to teachers who look at the classroom and see kids who need support. Teachers who look at their job as a way to build up our future community. So while this is not my safe place, for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to make you my safe community. Otherwise, we're going to... Oh, good. I was supposed to say a joke about opening up the bar again, but I think it's still open, so I can actually get that. So as my safe community, I want to introduce a few people to you. This is Melissa. I met Melissa while I was teaching in Uganda with the Invisible Children organization. She loves to take pictures and smile. This one she's not, but she usually does. This is Dylan. I met him my few years teaching at an art school in Long Beach, California, where I'm from. Avid skateboarder, has to have the iPod on while he skateboards as well. These three little ladies are a part of my church community, and they're everything girly. Notice the dresses. And this is Truman on the left and Jeremiah on the right. They're also part of my church community. And these kids love scooters, love skateboards. I'm not sure if you know, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is back with a vengeance. So any kind of ninjas they can be. So with these introductions made, I want you to turn to your elbow partner and tell them what you think all of these kids have in common. Go. Did everybody get a chance? Okay. Each one of these kids is currently in or has formerly been in the foster care system. Anybody get it? Couple, cool. The reason why I'm showing you this is because we as teachers do not know who our children in foster care are in our classroom. And though this doesn't encompass their entire identity whatsoever, this significant part of their life is hidden from us. Children in foster care are often referred to as invisible, and in many ways people say they're invisible to society or they get lost in the system. I think a way of rectifying that can be done in our schools. And my goal today is to show you one way that we can ensure that they're not lost. There are nearly 400,000 children in the foster care system in the US today. This is the most recent breakdown by state. There are many misconceptions of why children enter foster care. One myth says it's because of their own behavior, but this simply isn't true. Children enter foster care due to neglect, abandonment, abuse, and that abuse can be physical, sexual, or emotional. Reunification with their biological families is almost always the initial goal. Eventually, however, parental rights are often terminated or given up, and that's your 100,000. There are currently 100,000 children just waiting to be adopted out of foster care. If these kids do not find a permanent home, they run the risk of what we call aging out of the system. This usually happens between the ages of 18 and 21, with oftentimes very little support in place and no stable relationships to help guide them in one of the most critical times of their lives. While the average person may not know someone in foster care or may not think you know, children in foster care have been infiltrating my life in many ways and for many years. The first children in foster care I met were when I first started teaching. I don't know what your expectation was when you started teaching. I'm a high school teacher, and I didn't expect to have amazing connections with the kids. And when I was in high school, I chose to go to the wise people in my life, my peers. I didn't go to my teachers. I didn't go to people that actually had knowledge. I went to my friends. So when the kids started to use my room for at lunch, nutrition, after school, to just hang out and to be, they started to be comfortable and started to speak to me about some of their home situations. Especially in my early teaching years, this weighed pretty heavily on me. They confided to me about their thoughts of suicide, abuse faced at home or inflicted by themselves, pregnancy, and many other matters that I had to report. And many of these kids turned out to be foster kids who were coming close to the point of aging out. Another term we use is emancipating. When aging out occurs, the outcomes are pretty grim. And maybe you know this, but our prisons, our homeless shelters, our addiction programs, teen pregnancy clinics, gangs, etc., are filled with adults who have aged out of the foster system. According to one study, 70% of the prisoners at San Quentin Prison in California were at one time in the foster system. Many times their own children end up in the system as well. My husband and I have been working with the homeless. We work once a week. We've been doing this for 5 years in Long Beach. And story after story reveals some amazing people who never had the support they needed because they were raised in the foster system. Many of these then become multi-generational with their parents, themselves, and then now their children in the system as well, continuing this cycle. I even vividly remember a student named Billy asking me his senior year if I would adopt him. And I thought he was joking. I'm like, you're almost 18. Like, why would I even adopt you? And he's like, you don't get this. I'm about to age out. I'm almost 18, and I am going to be put out of my home with very little support. It was all these moments and all these stories that showed me this real desperation that I'd never been exposed to. So years later, I went back and I got my master's degree in social and cultural analysis of education. When they asked us what we wanted to research and what we did for those 2 years, I researched the educational attainment of youth in foster care. By that time, I happened to know more foster families than I could count, not just through school, but through my community. A lot of families I knew were adopting and fostering. But even with this experience, in spite of the best intentions, I still sensed a gap. I saw the education system nationally and locally underserving when it came to addressing the needs of children in foster care. The support they needed was definitely lacking, often because of all the competing interests that districts have to deal with. In the end, not only do these kids suffer, though, but this issue affects our entire society. Because we as teachers know education is key to the future. So California just received their report card, and we got a D- in the education of fostered youth with a 45% graduation rate. And this happens a lot because kids are held back and don't stay on track in school because of days missed and because of constantly being transferred from school to school. This statistic was really hard for me when I was doing my research. Children in foster care switch, on average, 8 times during their educational career. And again, maybe I was sheltered, but for me, switching middle school to high school was huge. When I was conducting this research, these statistics seemed to be living out in my classroom. These kids needed advocates to fight for them and give them accommodations needed for a better chance of success. And because of report cards like this, districts are being held accountable for the educational outcomes of youth in foster care. So I'm hoping to use this momentum to institute change within schools. And I am blessed to work for a district that I truly believe works for the kids. And I believe they want children in foster care to be seen just as much as I do. When it comes to making change, however, I'm not a big dreamer. My husband, huge dreamer, gives me a headache. I'm the logic. I'm like, no, not yet, no, relax. I'm just pure logic. But in seeing these statistics and the parallels in my research and experiences, I started asking myself the hard questions. And these hard questions gave me the space to dream. Questions like, how can children in foster care be given the support to excel in school? How can we fit into their lives rather than them having to fit into a system that maybe doesn't fit their reality? And considering the lack of resources that we have to deal with, how can we support them institutionally and individually? These questions led to a desire to bring a guided mentorship program to the Long Beach Unified School District. I'm actually meeting with someone from the board when I get back, so we'll see. Wish me luck. Thanks. And after finding research to support the positive impact mentoring has upon children in foster care, I decided to take this data and create a model to be instituted into my district. And we see the impact. It could be drastic. Mentored youth in foster care were more likely to report better health overall, less likely to have thoughts of suicide, less likely to contract an STI or hurt someone, and much more likely to go to college. So my program, or we'll see what I'm going to present, we'll see what happens, is based on 4 aspects. First is disclosure. We as teachers don't need to know every single detail of a child's story, but an awareness of the transition period this kid is going through would be nice and would be helpful. Thank you. Mentorship integration. Here I think this is where the kid could be involved. They can pick a mentor, someone they've grown connected with on this campus or off campus, where they can meet with them once a week, talking about their progress, or just anything they really even want to talk about at that time and the needs that they might have. The third is the community integration. This is a chance to bring in outside people in on their meetings. It could be a therapist, a peer, their foster parent, their social worker. They could welcome others into their processing and what's going on in their lives. This could increase their social capital and the roots that we all need to succeed in life that they should have too. And then mentor transference. There's a lack of stability in the lives of children in foster care. My ultimate goal would be for a mentor, if a kid enters in 4th grade, that mentor travels all the way with them till graduation. And I know that's not always feasible. So anything to make that mentor transference as smooth as possible for them. This mentorship advocate program allows for accountability of all involved with the student and allows teachers, counselors, advocates, students, parents, and staff the time and resources to collaborate on behalf of the child's success. It's a work in progress, and I welcome feedback, please, and failings for that matter, because that's what we as teachers do, right? We try. We will fail at times, and we get up and we try again. And I think we owe it to these kids to try. Not only because it could increase graduation rates, which is great, but it could change the rest of their lives. I think we have a responsibility to create a system of support and mentorship to help children in foster care excel in education. We have the opportunity to truly see them and help them become the individuals they were meant to be. The thing is, for me, that truly seeing these kids allowed me to see myself more clearly and who I want to be. That's why with my own family, I knew I was going to do this. That's why within my own family, we have begun the process of fostering to adopt. If all goes smoothly, there's home studies, there's all kinds of trainings we have to go to, but we're hoping to welcome our first child this summer. And, thanks. And if he's into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I actually secretly hope that they are, because I love those movies too, or skateboarding or reading or whatever else they're into, I cannot wait to see who I encounter and who we encounter as a family. So I know I'm uniquely close to this situation as a teacher and as a future foster parent, but we're all close to this situation, not just because we're teachers, but because we as individuals all want to be seen. Thank you.